That's the
Come on.
It's just one sheet.
I think it's wonderful.
Oh, the agenda.
Big spoil.
But on this motion, there is change. We're not allowed to apply, which is really odd.
30 seconds.
But we can't see it all.
Well, there's a surprise.
It's not supposed to.
Yeah.
That's
the last one.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
teachers.
in order, whatever it is, for my explanation. And then the person's supposed to sit down and then you give the explanation and then they stand back up. It's all supposed to be orderly.
Thank you very much, Chris. No, it's tremendously. It's in the shop,
So
We didn't wear it on the screen.
Too soon. Too soon. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attendance. I make it by our chamber clock, 1:30. So let's start today's meeting, 14th January 2026. So, item number 1, apologies, we don't have any, we're a full house tonight. So, congratulations everyone, well done. Item number 2, we've got declarations of members' interests and applications for dispensation, and if anyone has an amendment to a paper, I know there's some floating around. Councillor Brooks.
yes, I would just like to give you verbal notice that I have proposed a motion for amendment to the budget item, which is, excuse me a minute, that's set in item number 14, and it does say that we should, if under your request, give you a written copy, but as it's so long, I have prepared one if you want one.
No, verbal's fine, thank you.
Thank you. I think everyone has a copy.
13, thank you very much, Councillor Ainsley. Lovely. So, on to item number 3, deputation of the public. Councillor Ramsey Ross, hello.
Hello, good evening. I'm offering apologies from Councillor Ray Payne as another engagement tonight. I think the only couple of points has been made. I was wondering if you managed to make contact with the officer with respect to flooding and to inform you that the Tarson Finish Group will be revisiting the progress that the council has made at the meeting on next week. And whether there is how you consider progress is going, I suppose, on that in terms of the high street redevelopment. So those are the only comments that I've actually got. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 4. Does anyone have any observations of the minutes from the last meeting? Any corrections or observations?
Yes, I understand.
Uh,
I was also going to ask, have we done, as Councillor Ross requested, read the flood risk app? We were needed to do so. I've seen nothing. Haven't seen any advertising about it. No one's contacted me about it. If it was in the minutes, that we would do so.
Which minute is that talking about tonight?
The last meeting. After the presentation, when we were asked.
This is the Open Town Council encourage residents to sign up for the flood risk app.
Yep. Have we done so? Because I'm an open resident and no one's encouraged me.
we've not, but we can do that for our website, and hopefully we'll encourage the members of the press as well to promote that if you could.
So if we do, if we do website and socials.
Yeah, social media.
Could I just make a quick comment for the sake of clarity? I suggested that in terms of focusing volunteers, that we should ask the officer to provide us with detailed maps, excuse me, of flooding events that have actually taken place consequent to floods, storms, Henk and Babette, and that might actually focus a little bit of interest within specific constituencies and areas. And I've also written to Christine Wise to the same effect, and I know that she has discussed that with officers. So yes, just a comment.
Go ahead, councillor.
I agree with that, that's what I was wondering, because I've seen nothing. Second one from the minutes was staff arrangements review was due today. I just wondered if that would be done.
I
I
think
was in the minutes and it said it was being done today.
Which minute was that?
Minutes of the last meeting.
Yeah. Do I remember?
No?
Twelve 25,
so. Yeah,
12 25 14 is put on there. Due to a staff shortage until at least January. Proposal to seek approval to alter staff working hours. The council proposed, council accepted the extension of the administrative assistant hours up to 30 until 14th of January.
Which is today.
We're reviewed again today.
Well, I just wondered if that had been done because today is the 14th.
Well, obviously, the action is on me, and obviously at this point in time, for obvious reasons, I need that to continue until the new year, until the new financial year at the moment, because of the situation with staffing at the moment. Because we've got a Victoria Hall project which is ongoing, taking a lot of our time, and also we've only just got the deputy clerk back, and obviously we have to slowly get that member of staff back slowly to full time again, because we have duty of care.
Of course, a gradual return to work and all those sorts of good things. Incidentally, I did notice that there was some debate about holiday, and I think you're quite right that accrued holiday can be taken outside sickness absence.
So,
Go on, councillor Brooks.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to add a bit of interest to that. First of all, say that the minutes are very good. We've just picked up a few points that probably haven't been done. But one of my concerns was for our temporary admin assistant that we would run into a situation after that agreement was made up today that we might have an issue. I don't understand why this wasn't discussed at last week's staffing committee so that it could have come today. But the office has assured me the matters that I raised about that will be going to the next staffing meeting, if that helps the councillor there. Because the clerk says the admin assistant is needed now until, I don't know when, but we need to formalise it and make sure that it's done correctly. So I just wanted to highlight that the office are aware of it and they have promised me that it's going to be on the staffing.
We're taking advice from our HR consultant, we keep on annual payments, and all we have to do if we wish to continue beyond this financial year is put an internal advert, so advertising within the staff here, and then from there on, if there's no other applicants, then we can decide what to do.
Thank you.
Councillor Hayes.
yeah, I don't want to I don't want to stoke the fires, but I do feel that what is the likely action if we find ourselves in a position where we don't get this extension now, today, on the whether it's right on the 14th of January? So what do we do now given that the 30-hour extension was only up until the 14th of January. So I know that's a question that makes life difficult for people, but I do feel that we need to understand what the ramifications of that not extending it now. Does that mean that we can continue with 30 hours, or does it mean that we have to reduce to the original contract of 20?
The minutes say we would review today, which is one.
Yes, but the review would also have to have a motion, wouldn't it? I guess.
No, you don't.
So, I mean,
I
if
mean, yeah,
anyone's comfortable to do so now with,
Can we do
or rather,
I don't believe we can do
No.
it now, but I think if the staffing meeting is going to meet, I think it's this week, tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the 28th.
28.
So maybe they could call a special staffing meeting, because my understanding is that if it's an emergency, and I haven't had time to read everything, the staffing committee does have the powers to engage emergency staff, and if a situation could be classed as an emergency.
I mean, what we always do within the
We could
office,
do it to meet tomorrow.
yeah, we could do, but always within the office, obviously, we have a contracted number of hours, but there's always been an arrangement, ability in those hours to meet the work demand that goes on. And I think Councillor Brooks, I remember reading the report of you said, but surely that's within the town clerk's ability to actually say, look, with the work we've got on, I need you to work some more hours. And that's what happens in the private sector and every public sector all over the place. And even in RCC, they say to staff, the chief executive say, look, we've got this contract coming in, we need more hours from you. You're okay with that? And we don't do overtime, we just do exact normal time. So personally, all we're doing, or all I'm doing, and it's my job, is assigning the staff that the number of hours I need to do what you're asking me to do. And at the moment, I can tell you, we've got considerable commitments, very important commitments, so you have to get right. And one of them is taking a lot of work, is getting it right for Victoria Hall, because if we get that wrong, the consequences are significant. So I cannot afford to reduce the hours of any of my staff at the moment. We're always flexible. Melanie, can't work all the hours that I'd like her to, so there's always that flexibility of her saying how many hours she can do and how many hours I need.
Not having studied standing orders and all this lot, because I am a new boy, can we just have a proposal from the floor tonight that we extend until you can have a meeting to extend?
I don't believe that we can.
What about the emergency? We did have emergency procedures, didn't we?
All I need is for the staff committee to meet
Yeah,
and just sanction it.
Okay.
Chairman, there is a way around it, because I believe, and if the clerk can check it, you do have a thing where you can suspend standing orders, or you can suggest it and we vote for it, and then that is probably when we could have a motion to legalise this, because at the moment it basically has ended for what we granted for Melanie, because it's minuted.
well, so as a, I won't say a compromise, as an observation, this is minuted until today. So if we were to assume midnight tonight as close of play, if we were to address this tomorrow in a staffing meeting, we could therefore review that and bring it back to council
And you are
Take
coming in
emergency.
tomorrow, yeah.
and take emergency powers to do that.
Oh, what are we meeting tomorrow then?
Sorry?
Oh, we're not really invited to this meeting tomorrow.
It's only just been discussed.
So we haven't actually.
I think they're just calling it an
We're just
emergency.
discussing it.
We're discussing.
We haven't agreed. We haven't agreed.
When they're talking, it's like it's already been arranged.
No.
If you're
We're just talking about the possibility of working tomorrow. Because Thursday is difficult, isn't it? I think, isn't it, for Councillor Watson?
No comment.
No, Thursdays is my good day.
So if you can arrange that, then
Yeah.
obviously that will cover it, because obviously there is no need other than that.
Super.
Can I just make one suggestion?
Councillor Ainsley.
I don't know how valid this is, but the urgent decision protocol just passed quite recently. If you could review that and have a look and see whether we've got any room under that to introduce something by the clerk, by your good self.
What now?
Well, so that we can have it before the end of the meeting.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
It's not in there. It's on the website.
Oh, right.
I've got it up in front of me now, but I haven't got half brain cells to actually review it properly. So could somebody review that and then come back to us with a
We
decision?
will do.
Whether we can use the urgent, it's called the urgent decision
Can we
protocol.
not decide on that tomorrow?
Well, it expires today, doesn't it? So it all becomes a bit, if we do it now, it would be a lot easier. That's what I'm trying to say.
Clara mentioned it.
Sorry?
Clara mentioned it.
Yes.
Read the minutes.
So is there anything that this can bolt onto in terms of?
Well, we can throw it in as the urgent decision protocol, otherwise we'd go ahead with the bit about the stuff in meeting tomorrow. So we can just review that, that's what
Yeah,
I'm
shall
saying.
we have a look at that emergence?
And then come back to this, can we?
Yep.
Are you on that now?
So,
Yep.
Thank you. So can I carry on in the meantime while you're doing that one? If you're happy to move forward, so
We're not proposing anything at the moment.
No.
until we've reviewed
Yeah, we
this.
need more information.
And I propose the minutes.
yes, certainly. Lovely, Councillor Brooks has proposed the acceptance of the minutes of the 10th of December. Do we have a second? Thank you very much, Councillor Wadsworth. All of those in favour of acceptance of those minutes? Okay, any against? No, it's passed unanimous. Right.
That's budget, it should be.
It's- Okay, so we can move on to item number 5, the election of a deputy chair. Does anyone have any nominations immediately? I would like to nominate Councillor Ainsley, sorry,
And I'd like to nominate myself, please.
Righto, thank you. Right, so. Do I have a,
No, Paul needs a second.
yes, so do I have a second for Councillor Ainsley? Thank you very much, Councillor Clark. Do I have a second for Councillor Brooks? Okay. All those in favour of Councillor Ainsley as the deputy chair? All against? Any abstentions? No. Okay, Councillor Ainsley, thank you very much for, assuming that you accept the role.
Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
How many, just
Yes.
a second or two?
For the next item. So for item number 6, I'll relinquish the chair for the proposal.
Yeah. No. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, councillors. So we're moving on to item number 6, which is the item from Councillor Brooks, which states that this council resolves that there's no confidence in Councillor Chris Nick to continue in the role of chairman. So, do you wish to say anything at this point, Councillor Brooks?
Yes, I have had a discussion with the second party involved with this, and I've also spoken to the chair before the meeting, and it was a decision that's been made that we withdraw this item from the agenda, please.
My understanding is that this has to be voted on by full council. It can just be withdrawn.
Yes, all motion is discussed.
Okay.
Discussed, we move on.
Before we move on, so the motion falls because it has been withdrawn. I'd like to raise the consequential motion on the motion, which is that arising from this item, I wish to move the following motion that this council records its full support for the chairman and confirms its continued confidence in his leadership.
I'm afraid you can't do that, no more than we can do that from only with the 30 hours.
And the chairman's not a leader, he's a chairman.
So I'm afraid you cannot do a proposal that is not on.
I think
A consequential motion, I understood.
Madam Chair, I've exercised my right to reflect and reply on that. I wasn't going to say anything at this point, but I think it's very important that everybody knows around this table that this came about due to what happened in the December meeting. And I did say to the chairman before this meeting, I am extremely sorry that this came forward and that his conduct has not been anywhere near the conduct of a past chairman who had a
Councillor,
motion
I'm
of
going to ask
no
to ask you to
confidence.
stop now.
So what
please.
I'm trying to get across is that it's been apologised and we should just move on, and that's the
If you
desire
could just
of all of us.
Sit down, please. Thank you very much indeed. So, noted, I'm not able to bring the motion up, is that, in which case, we shall move on then.
Thank you nonetheless for the sentiment by council makes. Could you do us a favour, you switch the tea on, otherwise it gets a bit noisy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think somebody might not have heard you for that.
Oh, that's, it's not on the agenda, it's not recorded.
Okay. On to item number 7. Do we have any councillors' reports and or questions at this time? Lovely. Okay, item 8, Chairman's report. Well, obviously, we had Christmas in between the last meeting and this one, so I trust and hope everyone had a lovely festive period, an excellent new year. It was nice to see that the events over the festive period were well attended and good fun. For those of you who are relatively eagle-eyed, you'll notice that the item from the bottom of this particular piece of regalia is currently missing. So the clip unfortunately had become fatigued at the back and is now currently in the process of being repaired, or at least quoted for a repair at the moment. So that will hopefully be returning soon.
Probably not.
Item number 9, Clark.
Hi there. Thank you, Chair. Firstly, Happy New Year and Happy Christmas. I hope you all had a happy Christmas for all. I'll try and read this out as quickly as I can, because there's a big agenda items coming up. As we begin this year, it's important to acknowledge that the way we operated last year is certainly not sustainable. To ensure the effective running of this council and the well-being of office staff, I need to outline how the office will operate going forward. Every councillor is entitled to fair access to staff time and resources. However, this must be balanced to ensure that no single councillor disproportionately draws on these resources. Whereas councillors' level of communication becomes excessively demanding, for example, sending a high volume of emails daily, responses will be prioritised and handled as staff capacity allows. I also need to be absolutely clear that any communication received by this office that is personally abusive, bullying or inappropriate will not be dealt by the staff. Such emails will be forwarded directly to the chair of staffing for his attention and action. These steps are necessary to maintain a professional, respectful and sustainable working environment. Okay, let's go on to some good news now. The telephone kiosk at Martin Square. The good news is we now effectively own it, and it's ours. We should now consider its future, and I know there's a suggestion by Councillor Brooks, which we've been investigating, that we use it to provide an electronic display to provide information to the public, and a free Wi-Fi could also seemingly be possible, allowing communication with them. Other councillors have done that. So there is a process for doing it. I'll see who the contractor is to do it and see how much the cost is. But obviously at the moment, we've got access, nothing more than that. The CCTV at Princess Avenue is being reviewed for updating by Hugh Crouch and RCC as we speak, and they are actually going to do it now. They're going to put a higher resolution camera on it and also a static one at the bottom so that it covers our building better. On Friday the 16th of January, I'd like to tell all councillors at 10 AM there will be a meeting at the Harbour Hotel in Moulton with Hugh Crouch there and the police, where a demonstration of the DISC set up will be given by the police. This is the one whereby, as people who have been involved in this, this will give the retailers a chance to have a system that they can legally use to record and take to court any miscreants, if you want to call it that way, that steal or take good goods or the rest of it. It's a recognised process rather than having your own CTV, which up to, unfortunately, many times, unfortunately, they're not of the quality that the courts can accept. So this is one that's approved by the police, and in Melton, retailers are signing up. So we've invited, Melton's invited some of the retailers from Melton to go. Chris Clark is going with me on Friday to the Harbour Hotel. He looks at me kind of worryingly, but he's volunteered to go when he has, so that I will be there then. Okay, also we've got an annual contract which is for the electricity cuts close, that's the toilets and the bandstand. Unless I hear otherwise, I'll just renew that for another year. That's with Total Energy and Gas. So we'll just carry on with that contract. The rates are slightly better because electricity kilowatts have gone down. You've also received a quote for the replacement of the lights for the lane to Rutland Community Trust and our allotments at Willowbrook. So we've got the quote, which is about 1,500. We need to think carefully, and I'll discuss it with the chair afterwards, how quickly we can get that done, because if I can get some kind of approval at some stage, then we can get that done within a week. Unity Bank account is now open, so we now have a Unity Bank account, and so we will first of all do a very small transfer to check it works, and then we always do I always call it the rat run, just see that it works, see that the code works, and then we'll go over that. As has been the arrangements are underway to repair the Mayor's Chain, which will be done in Birmingham. We found the right route at last. It's not easy. And the chair and I will meet the chief executive leader of RCC later this month. So if you've got any points you want to be brought up to Mark Andrews, then now is your chance to do that. We will, of course, be discussing, as always, the transfer of assets from RCC to ourselves, which is back on track. So that's it. That's my report. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah.
Councillor Woods.
You can't reply, it's just a report.
Well, we've always been allowed to answer
You
questions.
should checked on this. You can't ask questions of class report.
Because I wanted to raise the issue of the lights only having one.
Well, you can do. It's up to the chairs. Discretion.
And also the bank signatures for the new
Yeah.
account.
Keep it very quick, Councillor Woods.
The Willow Crescent lights, they were reported, I think, a year ago as being faulty, and we received an email with one quote, basically before this meeting, asking us a way of approving it. Our standing orders and financial regulations are quite clear. Any expenditure over £1,000, I think it's £500 actually, or £1,000, must have 3 quotes. The line is very clear, must have 3 quotes in the financial regulations. So I don't understand why we've got a quote for £1,500 and that's it. But also, but I can talk it quick, will we at the next meeting have approval in the financial section for the signatures on the new account? Because we did have an issue where we kept asking for the Lloyds, and I don't want to be repeating that.
You will do, yes.
Thank you.
On that one, on the first one, I'll just give you a brief history. There's a brief. The old lights we tried to replace, and we did a year ago. We replaced them. They're hard to get a hold of because it's an ancient light thing. We tried them. Unfortunately, clearly the transformers in it or whatever, one by one they went down over the last year to the stage where there's one left about 2 months ago, and then it all went off. We now, if the quote is for replacing all of the heads with LEDs, which will therefore obviously have a much longer lifestyle. We tried to do it the cheap way. Sorry, it didn't work because this is an expensive way. It's about 400 a head, so it's quite expensive. And we've got no choice but to go down there. The reason I brought this forward is council just need to be aware that obviously this is vulnerable people down that lane, and it's now pitch black down there, and that's the reason I brought it as almost an emergency motion, because we have a situation now where the place we rent out effectively The laying down to it is no longer it. It's not long, but it's 300 metres of it, which is not good because the people in that community are very vulnerable. And we've had therefore an email from the person concerned saying, can you fix this ASAP? Last month,
Does-
saying to the meeting.
The reason that we've only got one quote coming for that as well, we are struggling to get people to want to quote. I apologise for opening that council.
Go ahead.
That's exactly the point I was going to make. Sometimes it's quite difficult to get quotes for small amounts of money, because people know all we're doing is getting 3 quotes, and there's a lack of enthusiasm, if you like, for small amounts to put quotes in. Is it realistic always to get a quote for a £500 job?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed, Chairman. Now, I just want to, I'm interested to know where Councillor Brooks thinks it says he must seek 3 quotes, because what I'm reading here is 5.8 in the financial regulations. It says the clerk shall seek, not must, seek at least 3 fixed price quotes. 5.12 goes on to say that where these regulations do not apply to contracts related to items for specialist services. That's item 5.12.I. So,
And I reply, please. I
I'm
read
keen not
the first page of the financial regulations. This is where our things clash, because I saw that, and I was going to raise it after this meeting. It contradicts the main first regulation, which very clearly says that you must get 3 quotes.
Okay, well,
So it's a contradiction.
we will take that discussion
But anyway, I'm just pointing it out.
outside of the meeting, thank you. Okay, Clark, correspondence
When I
received
say
in
the
item
last one
10.
as a typo.
Nothing's moved on. Okay, item number 11, bank statements.
Okay.
Observations.
I've nothing to say. I know
Don't
that's a job.
let me down. Oh, right, so there's, obviously you can see the only ones that are not being reconciled at the moment, and I'll tell you why in a second. The community heartbeat is because I don't quite know what's going on there. We've asked for some defibs. They haven't supplied them, they've given us a bill, but they haven't actually supplied them, so I'm chasing them up. So we've not paid that bill. The tool station one, we're going to go, we now have a business account with them because it's becoming so difficult to keep going in and out. So we've now asked them and successfully negotiating a monthly statement from them, rather than what you see in front of you, which is when every time the handyman goes in, we get a receipt that then put on the record, which makes it very problematic in the system we run. So what you'll get from now on, after these ones are cleared next month, is just a monthly statement of the requirements mainly from the handyman, for paint, brushes and all the rest of it from Till Station. And obviously that, you can see what the items are on 11.18, so it gives comments on what they could be like. I'll take any questions on that.
Councillor Ainsley.
thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just really want to discuss the HSBC UK account, particularly in the light of the fact that we've opened Unity Trust.
Yep.
And I noticed that in November, HMRC VAT paid in a substantial amount into the HSBC current account. Have we resolved our issues with HMRC regarding getting it paid into the Lloyd's account, so that we don't have, so that we can actually close the HSBC UK account? Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Clark, who's beside you, will know, I've been chasing this for 2-3 months now, with 3 phone calls from my friends in the HMRC. I've got a correspondence that says they're chasing it, they've got, I don't understand this, I'll cut it short, because no one wants to go through this. For whatever reason, the HMRC think that we are open enterprise and partnership. So in other words, their VAT system says on one computer, we're open town enterprise, on the other one, and when I've got discussions with them, they say we're open town council. This was from the time when we were both in Victoria Hall, as I understand it. It's about 3 years ago this happened. Every person I speak to on the phone says this needs sorting, I'll elevate it, and then it disappears. every time the problem we have is every time I try and change where the VAT is going, they say you're not open enterprise,
Open town partnership.
yeah, open town partnership, and you can't do it.
In an attempt to break the impasse of it, I know it can be difficult. What if we just went ahead and closed the account so they can't transfer money into it? And then it forces their hand. That would work, wouldn't it?
Yes, I suppose it would
Yes,
work.
let's transfer the money and close it, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but we'll have
It was just a suggestion. I don't want to interfere with the
As long as it doesn't
responsibility.
disappear, I think you'd be somewhat annoyed, councillor, so if it disappears.
Sure, but they
It has to
might
go
just
somewhere,
wake them up
so,
to the fact that we don't have that account anymore.
if you put that in writing to them.
I will do one more phone call and say, if we're not careful, we're going to close the account, what are you going to do then?
Let's communicate that we
Yeah.
are, everything, i.e. that we are not open town partnership to HMRC.
I've done that 3 times.
Yeah, so they
So,
like to be.
yep.
And I haven't
Encouraged.
had the conversation.
And you'll have a conversation as well.
Councillor Brooks,
I did send in an email, but didn't get any response, so that's, disappointing. But I had a question about the HMRC payment, because it's the first time I've seen it. And the question was, it's to do with accounts and things. Has that been taken into consideration as income in the budget? Because I can't see it.
Yes.
It has. I've got to put my glasses on better because I don't, I have an issue, and I'm only going to do the last one on the list. It's I won't say the name out, but for the sockets in Jail Street.
Oh, yeah.
There's been no council approval for that. And again, I'm going to be told that there are no electricians in Rutland who are going to quote for that type of work. I don't accept that. I get told through Facebook messages all the time when people see what's happened, why didn't they come to us? Our financial regulations say we should advertise in the local press. And there was a time we put it in the Rutland, what they call it, the little advertising booklet,
Trader.
and the traders read that. So I don't know how we resolve this situation where we're constantly getting things approved with one quote and actually not approved by council, just gone out and done the work. I get told it won't happen again, but it happens all the time.
Okay, can I just outline the situation as a clerk I've had to come to in this council? I don't know when, probably in the 70s or 80s, when the first Christmas lights went up, some person decided, whether it was Open Town Council or whatever, they would drill through walls, connect to private electricity and suck out the electricity from those shops. The first year I was here, had to go to one of the corner shops on Mill Street, and I had nearly a woman in tears because we had been using, you're quite right to highlight this, Martin, quite rightly, we had been using their electricity to, basically keep the Christmas lights going on. That same situation was in place in the Market Square, which is why we've done what you've said, and also in Jail Street, where Jail Street, we are sucking from the Citizen Advice Bureau, which is owned by WMI. I therefore had to make a decision, and I'm glad I did this Christmas, to put RCDs and meters on that. The RCDs at least protect the individual private house. You will have noticed that the lights across the High Street went out and the part of the Market Square went out. That was because of a short which would have taken those shops out if we hadn't had the RCDs onto it. The electrician that you made comments about, which I wish you'd stop, tested it. It was a short in the equipment provided by our illuminations for them. They fixed it in the end, but if we hadn't fixed it and hadn't put the RCD on, God knows what could have happened. That's how serious the situation is, and that's why I responded and got Jail Street done as quickly as possible, because I didn't want the same consequence as happened before we spoke. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Harris.
I think I'll volunteer to help with finding people who can do jobs, because when I moved here 3 or 4 years ago,
I suddenly discovered my house was rebuilding from the inside. So plumbers, decorators, builders, everything. I had no problem finding them. So I'll give you a list and I'll try and help. Encourage some of them to come and do some work for us, or at least quote. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I just want to quickly point out that actually the club is perfectly entitled to authorise payments if they're within budget, and the payments that were made were within budget. So the authorisation of the payment is in accordance with our financial regulations. Other matters, I'm not.
Okay.
Can I reply to that? Because it's very important.
No, we've all spoken on this one once.
So this is important, please. I'll be very quick.
No, we've already done this one.
But we've been fobbed off, I'm sorry, because they will put up and then the electrician said he
Councillor Brooks,
just used
is
it
there any,
because the other
is there
one
any
was
point
faulty.
in the standing orders if you're just going to carry
Really,
on?
it's frustrating because
Irrelevant.
because those sockets are put there for Christmas market, nothing to do with the Christmas lights. And I get fed up with
Right,
being
okay,
fobbed
so
off.
we
Could I
are,
just stop him right there? Could we stop him
Let's-
right there? Gerald Street has Christmas lights, as you know. We put into that outside of the citizen advice for those Christmas lights.
No, we didn't, because you emailed me and told me that they moved
No, enough.
them up at Ovation. I can show the email to people now. I get fed up being fobbed off, Chairman. We asked for a quote for the farmers market, nothing else.
Thank you
Sorry,
very
I will
much.
shut up
Thank you.
now.
okay. So if there are no further comments on this, if we could, does anyone have any objections doing this on block? Make your opinion known. Okay, so items number 11.1 through 11.6 therefore. Do I have a proposer for acceptance of those? Thank you very much. Councillor Wadsworth, seconder. Councillor Clark, take your hand up. All those in favour? And against? And abstaining? Okay, one abstention. That has carried. Thank you. Item number 12, Church Street toilet signage request. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, so obviously, unfortunately, as councillors know, halfway through this contract, I wasn't here, so I didn't see the termination of it, all the rest of it. And we have a situation, the whole situation is not just our fault, it's also RCC. If anybody follows the signage to the car park and the toilets, then magically they disappear just outside where the toilets are. So in other words, they point you down Church Street and then you just carry on. And I've seen people carrying on thinking, where's the car park? Because there is no signage to the car park saying, here is the car park and here is the toilets. So we need to contact Carways and say that. We also need to put, because it's a conservation area, we need to get a reasonable sign, which I will go out, if you give me permission, and get quotes for putting a signage to make it clear. Because obviously when they removed the sign, this is what they've told me, they removed the sign, it was damaged, and therefore we need to get a new sign to put on it, because they sprayed the whole exterior to get it fresh, the limestone blocks and all the rest of it, and we removed it. And I'm told that there's some damage done when it happened, not surprisingly because it's been there 20 years. So we need to just put new, which will obviously pass through this council, new signage that says these are the toilets. No, it wasn't part of the first one.
Lee, let's go ahead.
Thank you.
He was there.
Yes. I did see some emails kicking around saying something about they're going to volunteer to actually.
So they're going to do you wanted the horse show.
Yeah, okay. And the thing what I wanted to say was, I'm fully in agreement with actually everything that's been said here, but do you think we should actually send a letter from the office thanking Kerry Lacey, the person who raised the email with Rodney Head
I've
Council?
already done it.
Brilliant. So good. Why do I bother speaking?
Thank you very much.
No, don't say that.
Thank you.
Councillor Brooks.
Can I just ask, on that last item, we didn't do a separate item for the expenditure over £5,000, which we agreed would happen.
I clarified and asked if everyone was happy to go on block from 11.1 to 11.6.
Okay, fine. I just wanted to double check that it was said it wasn't an issue. But the sign business annoys me because there was nothing wrong with the sign that was up there in the first place. It was a nice white sign which had Oakham Town Council logo one side and Rutland County Council the other side, and clearly said public toilets. It was taken down because I saw it near the thing. It wasn't damaged, it was just thrown away. And I think that it should have been picked up at the time when all the work was going on. You know, we put up some silly QR code for the canal thing. We should have noticed then that the sign didn't go back up.
We didn't. But I'll once again point out, we did not put up a sign. That was a licensed agreement with RCC, who owned the.
So we paid for it.
No, we didn't.
We did because you put it through as office things, it was
We
£100
have to pay
something.
for the license to put it on the machine, and I believe in the conservation.
It seems to be off topic.
Yes.
But I don't object to a sign going on it, but I just find it frustrating that a perfectly good sign was disposed of through renovations.
Yeah, I mean, it is unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate. These sort of things do occasionally happen in construction contracts, and it is regrettable when they do.
Right.
Any further commentary?
So do we need to vote on
Yes,
the
yeah.
allowing account?
Yeah, well,
Sorry,
I'm
apologise, Chair.
inviting any further
I'm sorry.
comment before we go to a vote.
I apologise.
You've already spoken on the matter, thank
So we have
you.
no pricing or anything, so I don't know what we're to vote on.
To allow them, go ahead.
Yeah, so that a costing is obtained to place a sign on the toilets, that's what the proposal is, councillor Rooks.
So they're going to come back to us with the
Yes.
costing.
Is that- Yeah, that's, thank you very much, councillor Wadsworth, seconded by councillor Clark, he was quick on the draw there. All those in favour of paper, that's unanimous, thank you very much. On to item number 13, councillor Brooks's paper on pipeline, go ahead. Councillor Brooks, would you like to
Flogs,
introduce?
flogs, flags even.
I did tell the folks it was a joint paper, it's not just mine.
Yeah, but
So
Yeah.
if Sally Ann would like to
Councillor Brooks,
talk
we
about
need a.
Sorry, it is on the proposal there from a joint perspective, so whichever one of you feels.
would you like to speak about it? Because some people don't like hearing me, they have.
All right, shut up then. Basically, what we're asking is that we can fly the flag, the LGBT flag, from the 1st of February?
Yeah.
Through till the end of February, in line with what Rutland County Council do. That's it basically, I mean, all the information's there, I'm sure you've all read it, but that's basically what we want to do, we'd just like to authorise putting up the flag during that month, thank you.
Go ahead, councillor Harris.
I'm very much against this.
In fact, John could come, we just need to know we've got a second.
Sorry.
I thought we had to debate it first, but I've misread
So
that.
no, you can just say you're going to second it and then we can debate it. That's all you can.
Because there's going to be an amended motion as well, isn't there?
Yeah, but we need a second, like with the.
But to be honest, actually, I don't want to get into a personal fight or anything with this, so can I withdraw the paper, please? Because the councillor stood up and said he's objected, and I think it's too sensitive thing, and it upsets me. The fact that I was told a number of residents that had objected, and when I did an FOI, there was one objection, and it wasn't offensive, so I'd rather that we just put it, because I don't support the amended motion, because we have a part-time person who puts the flags up, probably from 10 o'clock until 4 o'clock. It takes away any of the meaning of the month, so I withdraw the paper, please.
Can't withdraw it,
You
it's part of
It's a
mine.
joint motion.
So I'm now seeking your second for the motion that councillor Sonia Wadsworth has put forward. Have I got a second, please? Okay, seconded, we're now going to the debate.
Councillor Harris.
I'm still very much against it.
But I don't want to listen to it, so I'm going to leave the meeting now, and you can
Okay.
call me back.
I'll call you back in and stick back.
History Month takes place in October. As
Sure.
far as I'm aware, we don't fly a flag
Do you
with
want
that.
to call this on? Apologies, sorry to jump in, councillor Harris, that's, councillor Brooks has left the meeting at 17 minutes past, isn't it?
Yeah.
17 minutes past 7,
So
sorry.
it's on that.
19 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I fundamentally disagree with the proposal to do this, and I should vote against it. Black History Month, which takes place in October, I'm unaware if the council flag is a flag the whole of that month. Trying to research why we would and why we should. There are various councils that fly flags for some very strange things, including Odd Socks Day, where to promote inclusivity, diversity and acceptance, where everyone celebrates their uniqueness, people are encouraged to wear odd socks for a day. There is Anti-Bullying Alliance Week, Awareness of Huntington's Disease Association Week. Ukrainian flags are flown to show our support for Ukraine. Not that that seems to be doing them any good. And of course, Nottingham County Council spent £75,000 either putting up or taking down Union Jack, or the Union flag, I should say. The scene has also a Stop Racism flag, which clearly doesn't work either. So to celebrate whatever this event was, and the event itself and the thinking behind it is, to my mind, completely irrelevant. It seems completely out of step. It's virtue signalling. It's a low-level effort to look good, in my view. Symbolic gesture to show moral alignment. Most importantly, in my view, it's not our role in Oakham Town Council to do this.
Councillor Evans.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Chairman. So I've got a statement that I've written, because I don't want to fumble over this. I want to be clear from the outset that recognising LGBTQ residents and supporting inclusion is important. And I fully support the Council marking LGBTQ History Month. The question before us is not about recognition, but about ensuring we use our civic flagpoles in a way that is proportionate, consistent and fair to all groups. I'm bringing a potential amendment, which I'll discuss at the end of this little statement, in my capacity as the Council's Armed Forces Champion. And part of that role involves helping us maintain a balanced and consistent approach to how we recognise different groups. I also want to acknowledge the work of the two councillors who brought forward the original proposal. Their intention to support the LGBTQ residents and to ensure the Council marks LGBTQ History Month is generally appreciated, and their contributions help shape a constructive discussion. The intention behind my proposal is to find a balanced approach. It avoids creating an imbalance between different commemorations. It helps us avoid setting a precedent that would be difficult to apply consistently in future, which I think comes back to John's point. At the same time, it still enables us to show respect, solidarity and recognition in a clear and visible way. Flying the flag on the first and last day of February offers that balance. It is meaningful and a visible statement of support. We need to bear in mind that, for example, events such as Armed Forces Day and Remembrance, both of which carry deep national importance, are marked for a single day. It would be challenging to justify a full month-long display for one group when others, including veterans, receive a much shorter period. So I just want to read what my amendment is suggesting, is that we, when I find my piece of paper, that we've essentially changed the policy to fly on the first day of February and the last day of February, 28th, 29th, as appropriate as a mark of solidarity. And if there are special events that need marking during that month, then if the special events need marking during that month, then we actually consider raising the flag for those special events, as long as it's brought to council for approval. So I think that is item number 2. Yes, so that's an amendment to item 2 to say we fly on the first day and the last day. And the second amendment to the proposal is to do with the press release. I feel that the original proposal includes a draft press release that highlights the involvement of these two members. In the spirit of keeping our communication inclusive and reflective of the whole council, it would be helpful for any public statement to focus on the collective decision rather than individual members. The amendment I'm putting forward to the press release supports our approach and keeps the emphasis on the council acting together. Now, I have actually given a copy to everybody of the amendment that was sent out by email earlier. Thank you. So I'm proposing two amendments to number 2 and number 4.
So that then goes back to the proposers for,
We can debate on that. We can-
Well, yeah, but it's up to, just what's usually customary at this point in time is I propose with Sally Ann Wadsworth, Councillor Sally Ann Wadsworth.
Yeah,
Do you accept the amendment or do you want to not make it a proposal? Because if you accept it, it becomes a substantive proposal. Otherwise, we discuss on the amendment, not the proposal, until the amendment's lost or won.
it must be completely
Does
now.
that make sense? Yeah. So in other words, are you happy to have the
Have the
right?
amendment?
Yes. Yes or no?
No.
No, in which case we stick to the procedure. I need a seconder for your amendment, please, councillor Ainsley. Right, so we've got a seconder. So we now discuss the amendment. If it passes, it then goes to carry forward. It's not a negation of what you've said, it's just an amendment, so that's fine.
thank you, Clark, for the clarification of the process.
Sorry about that.
Confusion.
Councillor Brooks.
I will keep it brief. I'll try. And I have to go out for it because I heard this thing and it bothers me. And I apologise if I for that. As the amendment goes, there are certain things which I've accepted of what Councillor Ainsley has said this evening, i.e. the press release. That was my draft. Sally Ann obviously looked at it. But I don't believe that the press release negates, or is that the word negates, educates the public, which is what I hope to do, because people say, why does the flag fly? I don't accept that it's the argument that we only acknowledge armed forces on one day, because that's not true. The flag flies from the day that they have the event at the castle and flies through to the weekend when we normally have a Father's Day, Armed Forces Day event. So it's a week. Now, I brought to this council a review of our policy so that flags could be flown by anybody who comes to the council, because it was all a bit up in the air. It flew the LGBT flag without any consent from the council, and that wasn't me flying it. So the thing was that we had the basic protocol, which was set by government. We fly these flags. And unfortunately, we've even forgotten Rutland Day, which was brought to the last meeting. And to me, for somebody to say it's an observance for very obvious reasons for a month. It's not a local event. I know we mentioned Rutland County Council to support the thing. This is a national event, in fact international. And I don't want to go into all the history, but if you take it away, it's a bit like saying, the poppy appeal goes on for a month. We're only going to do it one day, put it up at 10 o'clock to whatever. And that's why I object to that part of the thing. I strongly agree we need to look at the press release, but I can't support that amendment.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Brooks. We have a
No, this is a secondary to speak, obviously, on the amendment.
I'm quite supportive of the reference to remembrance and the poppy appeal, which is where people lost their lives.
And so did they in the LGBT life. They were put in the gas chamber. It's where the people Sorry, but it's.
I
I
understand.
meant no disrespect to the poppy appeal, because I helped with the
Councillor
poppy
Brooks, and that's
appeal.
fine, but thank you. Okay,
So we've got a proposal, a seconder. Is there anybody else who wants to discuss that? So we'll put it to the vote, yeah.
the amendment is to put in its amended sense.
The amendment is the one that's from Councillor Ainsley, which is that we, instead of flying it for the month, we would fly it for the start and the end day.
Thank you again for the clarification. So, show of hands for those in favour of the amended paper. 1, 2, 3. Those against? 3. Those abstaining.
All in your court.
Very well. I will support the amended paper as it stands.
Right. Pass. So that means it becomes a substantive motion. It now becomes a substantive motion to the proposal is now remedied and we now vote on the proposal, which is your one, because it's an amendment that's been made to the proposal.
Is that not what we just
No.
done?
Yeah, but the amendment, it was accept the amendment and now we go for the amendment is what
For the
Paul
full
said,
paper.
we just go for full paper.
Okay.
Okay.
You can't,
I've shuffled my papers, so.
you don't need to shuffle them, well, they know what it is.
Yeah, so the proposal is simply that I accept item 1. The item 2 is what the amendment was aimed at in item 4. Item 3, I think, as far as memory serves me correctly. So I'm really, the proposal is for the second item, which is the length of time is flown, and then the press statement. And the rest I was happy with.
So we just vote on it now as 1, 2, 3, 4, with the one, obviously,
So we vote, yeah.
you would vote with the fact that it now is for the flag, and we can be flying on the first day of the month and the last day of the month.
Is that, so that's not necessarily on block, so we do them 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, well, you do with all of them now, yes, you deal with it 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them.
As a whole.
Yep.
Okay, so in support of the favour of this paper, as proposed by Councillor Rosen's amendment, it's carried. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Harris. Those in favour? Okay, those against, so 3.
Right, it's carried.
1 against, abstentions.
No.
Thank you. Okay, so that has carried.
I thought you were voting.
Okay, on to item number 14, the budget approval and precept setting 25-26 from the financial working group.
Obviously, I'll introduce it and just say this, obviously, the RCC have given us a deadline, as the county council will know, which is the 19th of January, so we're on time, and I do need, therefore, we have to ask an extension if it's not, the budget isn't approved in this meeting. That could be acceptable by RCC, but they want you to reply Monday next week. So where we are is with the finance working group, we've been through this. It came to the previous meeting, was referred to this meeting. We now have the proposal, which is that the budget is set out in the table below, which is this one here, and that the precept is set at 306.77, and that is a 4.6% nearest down it, as wanted to say, close to inflation as it stands at the moment in this country. So it's inflation, it's no bigger, you could argue with a member of the public, it's no larger than the precept that was set last year, it's just in line with inflation. Roughly speaking. So, but I know that the chair of, who I consider to be the chair of the finance working group, has done a lot of work on this, so I think it's only fair that he continues to discuss it.
Okay,
So we
I'm
have-
really waiting for.
So we have an amendment that was raised.
Has that been formally raised?
It has been formally
I
raised.
guess
So-
I'll respond to that.
Yeah, but we need a proposal first for the budget.
Okay, well, I'm
Someone's
obviously
got, I
proposing.
can't propose what is, what I've read out, someone from council needs to propose it.
I propose the budget.
That's it, and you need a second.
Councillor Harris, okay.
So you can.
So we can
speak
debate
to
that.
them.
Can I speak to the amendment or the proposed amendment?
No, you speak to the proposal, or you don't have to, you can wait for the amendment to come forward.
I don't need to speak to the proposal, but I'm happy to wait, but I do reserve the right to speak to the amendment.
Yeah, but we've got to,
Okay, thank you.
right,
Councillor Brooks, you advised an
I
amendment.
do have an amendment, but I just wondered if people were going to speak about the budget first.
we can speak about it once. It's up to the council. You can propose the amendment now. If either survives or doesn't survive, once it becomes, just like the last one, if it survives and becomes a substantial motion, you then speak on the substantial motion. If it fails, just go with that.
Shall we have a round of discussion of the budget as it stands and then hear the amendment? Would that be a sensible solution?
Possibly, but I will discuss first on the budget then. I don't like the budget, I don't like the way it's being handled. It's up until this year, this is the first year where we haven't had it up on the screen, where all members have been able to contribute any changes. And that was because of the way it's been handled. This is why I brought my proposed amendments in this form tonight, because we haven't had a fair opportunity to make amendments. I wrote to the office months ago about questions on the budget, and that was when we had the finance committee, which was disbanded. I'm not talking about the working group, but I never received any reply to my questions. So this is why I thought, well, the fact that we weren't even allowed to speak on it at the last meeting, it was just to be noted, we were told, and deferred. This is why I chose to go down this route. It is disappointing, because afterwards a member of the public contacted me and said, why are we still doing grants? So even if I put this amendment, how do we put forward that actually we might want to go back to 3 years and remove the grants because we didn't spend it, but we're asking for it again. And I don't know how we move forward, because my things are quite, I think, quite legitimate, just small reductions. If it was Rutland County Council, as it was pointed out in an email to me earlier, that would be a £50,000 reduction. So it's a significant amount to us that it's about 5,000 or 6,000, because it's dropped the precinct down to 2 point, I've got the reading glasses on, which to the public, it looks like we've done a bit more work, and we're not asking for 4.5%.
You're speaking to the amendment, you said you were speaking to the budget.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So I won't speak about the amendment then, as I've broken the rule and got on that, but I'm just frustrated that I've had to do this.
Well, I'm a little concerned. So sorry, Councillor Brooks, I don't want to descend into an overall sort of discussion about who did what and when. This paper, I believe, was deferred from the last meeting and has been met. The finance group has met. At least, yeah.
Yeah.
There's been ample opportunity to bring up any issues with.
Well, I wouldn't say that at that point my relationship with the finance working group was 100%.
Nonetheless,
And
the opportunity has been.
I took the opinion that as my emails have been ignored in the past, there was no point. And it was the meeting is the place where we are supposed to finalise the budget.
Which we are.
And we don't have it in front of us in the sense where we could we used to have it on the computer where we could say, because nothing is perfect. I've reported on this council as a resident where we've had budgets put to us which have said 6% increases. And then they sat there and said, oh my goodness, we're asking too much money there, and it's been changed and come down to 3% or something like that. So as a councillor, I don't think I've had the ability to be able to have any input into this budget.
What I'm suggesting is, Martin, that this sorry, Councillor Brooks, that this was already a deferred paper, so there was an additional month to discuss this between last meeting and this. So there's been ample opportunity to come back with any suggestions.
I've explained why I did it this way, because
But that doesn't mean there wasn't the lack of opportunity. So
No, but I feel that I was ignored, and actually the place to have discussed it would have been at our last meeting, but we weren't allowed to.
okay, Councillor Ainsley.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to make the point that it would have been far more helpful to receive these suggested revisions earlier. They could easily have been shared after the 10th of December meeting or ahead of it. The information was available and all raised during the working group discussions. It's a working group, so actually you could have easily input and you left it for the last minute, which does stick a bit. I do want to say, yeah, I'll just skip over that. It's also important to keep the scale of the suggested savings in perspective. A 5,210 reduction. No, actually, I was slightly confused by the figures. I think that my figures say it's 5,660. You said 5,210. Either way, it is a 5,500-ish reduction. May sound significant, but for a Band D household, it equates to around 1.64 a year, roughly 14 pence a month or less than half halfpenny a day. So For residents, that saving is negligible. For us, however, the same 5.5, for want of, because of the confusion between the figures, can make a meaningful difference to the services, projects, community support roles people rely on. So as we make this decision, I'd simply encourage us to weigh the very small savings for households against the much greater impact it could have on what we deliver to Oakland. So, to go through the points you raised individually,
We're not on this one.
I thought we were on the amendments.
No.
In which case,
I'm taking on board what you said. Can I just finish off?
Well, if we're not-
No. Would you interrupt it? I went through, it's a reply to one of his points. I went through the thing this afternoon and I sent an email, one of many. And the reason I could have been a lot more brutal with my amendments.
The
You know, we
easiest way-
have underspent.
Could I suggest, councillor Brooks, the easiest way for you, the chair, is that if you're now going to put the amendment, if you don't put the amendment, it won't be discussed. So it's, are you now proposing?
I will do, but let's only
Can you
finish
just
that one
therefore just
line.
say, I'm proposing the motion and the amendment and get a seconder, then we can go into the amendment. That would be the easiest way, councillor.
And then can I raise the
Yes,
thing
of
about
course,
what I sent
absolutely.
in earlier
So
about
if you
the-
can propose it, just say.
Yeah, so I propose this, please.
1 second, because I did see that Councillor Nichols has
Yeah,
raised
sorry.
his hand.
I'll sit down.
Just before we
Yeah,
descend
because
into
we
the
don't
next.
want anyone to miss out.
Well, can I just ask a brief question, if that's all right about it? So, about the Christmas decorations, which are 35,000 for 2027. We did discuss, I think, the idea of buying some decorations, so then it will be cheaper in the long run. I know we've got a working group to discuss this. I just wondered whether that was part of the considerations of the finance group for this item.
Yeah.
Can I just say?
Yeah, Councillor
Quick
Wallace.
something? As of today, I found out that we've actually got another year on contract, so we have got to pay that 32,000.
Okay.
But we're going to have a,
No, we can, obviously, if we wanted to, and there are, it's a financial, the contract makes it quite clear, if we give notice now, we would have to pay something like 16K in compensation, but that's negotiable, so we can withdraw the contract. We're in the third year of a 3-year contract, which was agreed by this council, and the terms are quite clear, but also the terms make it quite clear that Councillor Waters has made a very good point that they didn't exactly fulfil their contract obligations this year. And anybody who's a solicitor will tell you, if you can prove that the contract is not met, so that's
Sorry.
legal.
Thanks, Carl. I was about to continue.
no, that's it, that's all I wanted to say was that I've been told today, correctly, that we have got another 12 months on the contract,
Okay,
which we're having a meeting next Thursday, I think it is. Well, we've got to discuss the times and stuff. We're going to have a meeting shortly to discuss where we go from here. I'm going to request if I could have a look at the, that's the word I'm looking for, please, and then I can see where we're going with it.
so in summary then, for clarity, we're still in,
We're still in-
we're still in contract.
Yes.
However, we could discuss and negotiate an early termination, but it will likely come with punitive.
So we'll discuss it in the meeting and then we'll come back to you with what we decide to do.
Super, thank you. That sounds very sensible.
We will.
Okay, so
Yeah, ma'am.
now, Councillor Brooks, if you would care to, sorry, Councillor, no. Were you about to start your amendment then, Councillor Brooks, for us to vote on?
That's where you were
Yeah.
before councillor.
Before Councillor Nichols then?
No,
You were going to
if
put the
it's
amendment,
accepted,
if you've got a
then we can
second, then
speak
we'll
about
discuss.
this.
Yeah.
Correct.
Figures.
Yep.
In response to what Councillor Hens has already said.
Yep.
Yes.
But I'm sure you're allowed me to say more.
So you're
Well,
proposing
this
the
is-
amendments that are in your paper that's been
Yes,
given to all
yes,
councillors?
please.
Could I just establish, just as we did before, if you've got a seconder, please? In which case,
Well, I'll second that actually, because I'd like to at least hear the debate on the points, so I'll second that one.
okay, so, well, it's up to you. If you want to speak to it now, your proposal, then you can, councillor Brooks.
Yeah, I will keep it for so, my goal is really, I did sit down and spend half an hour on this and came to some basic things. I've been accused basically of of bringing this, then it would undermine our services. None of the services have been cut through what I suggested. I take this budget sheet and go through, and I did email all members of it, how we underspend, how we overspend on budgets, but we simply, and this is where I say they're just figures taken out of the sky, because nothing has been taken into consideration for the fact that business rates will go up this year. Rent goes up. Inflation on things. So, but if we've gone over budget, we just like, well, you can see it for yourselves there, we just take that figure and plonk it in the end and say that's what we need next year. Now that budget overspend went up for a reason. In most cases, it's inflation, price increases and that. So I don't accept that this is a well thought out budget. It's no different from any other year where we've had the opportunity to be able to sit here and say, hang on, you're just like the trees. Use that example. The trees tonight, we're going to be asked to spend around, I don't know what it is, thousands of pounds. We've already spent the budget this year. Next year, we're asking for 9,000 again. So where is the money from what we're going to be asked to approve later going to come from? That's why I don't think that 100% effort has been put into that, because
Can we stick to the amendment?
But it is, I'm saying the reason behind the amendment was just I took some figures to tidy it up because they were what you could chop off because it was asking excess money. And it was allowed a little bit for inflation, so it didn't chop off completely all of it. But I can't accept the budget, even though I put this amendment to reduce it, I can't accept it.
You can't accept your result.
Okay.
No, until we can change, I was hoping that you would have listened and we would have had it up on there. And where we
Again,
have
Councillor
things
Richardson.
that are, where there's one on there where I believe it's £3,000 we're asking that we didn't even spend. But we're asking for it again this year. So there are lots of cuts that could have been made extras of what I picked out.
Okay.
Could I just briefly, outline to the council where the statements have been made? Obviously, all of these it's up to this council whether they decide on them. The community street lighting, the reason that varies, and people who have been here long enough knows, at one stage we were paying something like 35,000 a year because of the electricity unit. No one can predict, even the government can't predict how much a kilowatt is going to cost in 6 months' time. We get the bill October, November, when the RCC, get round to actually doing the calculations of all the street lights and how much it's cost them, and then SSE come along and say, this is how much, you want. Obviously, therefore, it is the budget, let's be clear about this, I've done enough training now, the budget is not a concrete figure. It's an estimate of where we feel we would be next year. I would be the first as a town clerk to say, no matter what people think of me, that I cannot get this perfectly right. There will be some that are less, like the trees. Sometimes this year has been horrendous year for the trees. We will spend at least 10k rectifying that problem. I could not foresee that 6 months to a year ago. The same is true of a lot of these items here. Inspections, what we're going to do on the play areas and all the rest of it. You cannot foresee them. You have to, with the earmark reserves and everything, build up as a clerk what I think will do. The general reserves, you made a comment, we are slowly reducing them, but I am not in a position whereby I feel they are significantly overwhelming to me. They are still about 50% of so I do not have concerns on that. It will be next year I will want to maintain those general reserves and I will therefore be seeking possibly more. But who knows where we'll be this time next year.
I think a good illustration of this in real terms is actually, as Councillor Wadsworth suggested, the Christmas lights.
Yep.
if we do go ahead and get our own set and employ a local electrician or someone suitably qualified to install them and put them up and take them down, that will likely result in a massive saving year on year that will then be reflected in the subsequent budget. But for the moment, as it stands, we have to accept that we are contractually obliged to consider that in this year's budget. But with the hope that that will be a saving that is reflected next year. Councillor Ainsley.
Sorry, I apologise, I didn't mean to stray off piece of the original speech. So I just want to actually address each individual item that you've raised, Councillor Brooks. So saving on inspections, I think that roughly £350 an inspection, something like that. Given the recent Rossborough inspection, carrying out 6 months after the previous one, remember we'd already carried out one 6 months before, it was felt by the committee that continuing with additional monthly inspections was necessary. And indeed, Councillor Brooks, you did highlight your concerns in Cuts Close, although I'm not certain you're allowed to do inspections, but we'll push over that. Grants, yes, we have been a bit remiss in actually pushing grants last year, but I don't think that therefore, it's felt that it's not entirely clear why they should be reduced. It supports local initiatives and community activities, so it gives us the opportunity to support those initiatives. Advertising tenders in council business, another one you raised. It needs to be borne in mind, and the committee certainly felt this, so the working group, not a committee, working group felt that with an expected increase in tender activity for projects such as Victoria Hall, OTC building maintenance, Martin's Law, etc., there's a lot of work going on, that we need to continue to maintain adequate provision. Community street lighting, that's already been spoken to very eloquently by our town clerk. Grip bins, yeah, interesting. And a new policy is being prepared in the location verification. We're supposed to have 21 of the things. I couldn't find any, but there we go. I've been given a map and told, so we will be bringing back a proposal to actually address the grip bin policy, which seems woefully inadequate. The cost per refill is, well, £55 was the last figure I had, but I dug out an email today that said it was 35 quid. So I don't think having a £250 allowance for the grip bins, who knows what the winter's going to bring. So thank you very much indeed.
So now, if I'm not mistaken, if anyone can pay attention, we then vote on.
Do you want to speak to it?
I've said my piece, thank you. So we take it to the vote now.
Yes.
What are we voting on?
The amendment for its inclusion thereof. So it's proposed, seconded. All those in favour of inclusion of the amendment that Councillor Brooks has put forward? Okay. Obviously seconded. Those against? Those against? Okay. And those abstaining? So we need something. So that motion has fallen, so we are now discussing the original proposal, which we have spoken about at length already. So let's go straight to the vote on the paper and the budget as originally introduced by the Finance Group. So that was proposed and seconded, so all those in favour of accepting the budget as stands, those against, and those abstaining. No. Okay, that has carried. So the budget
Do you
is
want that
approved.
recording, Councillor Brooks? Do you want that recording?
I do remind you of Adam Lowe. Ripping the papers out in public.
Okay, so on to then item number 15, approve contracting for tree works.
Okay.
Right.
So I was just checking the recording was working okay. Obviously, I want to go, the last council meeting, I think it was the last council meeting, we had the report from Stuart Kidd, which gave us the woes of the trees in Elton, mainly in Cuts Close, most of the work on category 2. Category 1, we have to immediately attack and deal with high risk. Category 2 is significant risk, and we need, the words used are as soon as possible, however that is helpful. And category 3 is there is a risk, but it's medium to low risk, but there are needs. I've therefore taken that report from Stuart Kidd, gone onto the public contracts website, which is what we should do, and for the last previous month before Christmas, opened it up for contracts and tenders. We have had significant, and you can find behind it, obviously, you will find the replies. I will be able to answer it. I will just highlight to those who are looking at it, there is a significant variation in the cost. So we have really, you could argue, two groups. We have a group that seems to be around 10k or thereabouts, that's a latitude, and then we go, then it's 15k plus. And I will remind the councillors that's a significant, I was quite surprised at the spread, being this is all from Stuart Kidd's report, all the same number of category 2, all the same number of category 3s. This is inclusive of both category 2s and 3s. Not much work, it's a few K extra for category 3s. I felt that was really best practice for us to get them done, because Stuart Kidd probably will not come back with another report for another 2 years now, unless something goes wrong with the trees again. Let's hope not. My view would be, and it's just my feeling, is that we have 3 that you can clearly see are in and around 10k. I would think my view to the council is, but it's your decision. We've given the location of them. It's your decision as to which one. The only mistake I would point out is Rushden Trees is local. It's not Northants, it's open. That's a mistake. I apologise. So Rushden Trees is local, and most people know that person. So we have 3 that we've got. Simpson Agriculture, or Agriculture, I can't even say it, it's about 9k. We have, I've spoken to all 3 of them today on the phone. Reynolds Tree Surgery is also 10k. That's not so local, but they have massive amounts of operations. And also I've spoken to Brown's Trees, who are in Milton Keynes, but once again, a fairly wide Midlands operation. All of them, if you tell me today that you will appoint them, could do it at the worst within a month. But obviously I've got to also clear, they may well have to clear. I've already put in for planning permission because Cuts Close is in the conservation area and we have to clear that. But obviously there is a potential around Cuts Close as Sally Ann Wadsworth knows from previous years that we may have to one-way the streets or whatever, because there's quite a bit of dead wood around Cuts Close, I'm afraid. So it's up to you, but for obvious reasons, sorry, John, just to finish off here, we really need a decision because of the nesting season. If you delay it another month, I'm told by all the people I've spoken to, they will find it difficult to fit it in before the March the 31st deadline.
Councillor Harris.
I think you've done very well to get some new quotes, to be honest, my experience in this field. Have you taken references on any of these firms, and separately or?
I've looked at their reviews and they're all acceptable. They've all got the qualifications that are necessary for doing the work, and they've all got reasonable references.
Do any of them currently work for Rushden County Council?
No, that I'm aware of. I didn't ask that question.
I just wondered if
none of them have been recommended by Stuart Kidd or
the Rushden County Council used, you know.
But they use multiple people. They use the contractor we had. I'm looking at Sally Ann and I've just forgotten their name. Golding, wasn't it? Golding.
I've no idea.
The ones we used before, well, it's on record, it doesn't really matter. The ones we used last year, for whatever reason, are no longer in contact with us. Even Stuart Kidd said, please could you contact Hilton Town Council? They didn't. I've tried multiple phone calls to talk to them. They did a reasonable job in the past, but I don't feel I needed to, considering the interest we've had, I didn't feel that, we needed to go any further. So these are all ones that have come through the public tenders, find a contract, and all look, if you can look at the website, so I've got no problem with any of them.
Councillor Clark.
Thank you. Is the Rushden Trees Common the one that I've been out to assess all the trees?
Yeah.
That's Rushden Trees Common, is it?
Yeah, that's Kevin, as you know him, and he's worked for us before. He's the one who, I'm trying to put this carefully, he's the one who said, I said that tree in Cuts Close is leaning at about 30 degrees, and he said, I'll do it when I can. Stuart Kidd obviously had put in the planning order saying it needs to come down urgently. he did it before Stuart Kidd appeared. So Stuart Kidd got there and he'd gone. So he's been checked, we know him. But all of these have got reasonable references, they're all, you know, got lots of contracts and work on.
Sorry, Chris, just to clarify,
Yeah.
the comments section, is that divided up or is that one?
And the comment section for that is all about the Simpson Agricultural Fund.
All of it's Simpson.
Oh, no, yeah, well, no, the top bit is, sorry.
So where, apologies, where are the breaks in?
I'd have to look
Because
that
I
up.
guess the one that says this quotation is one.
Yeah, I think I thought they were pretty much aligned with the actual thing.
Yes, they're
Okay.
correct, yeah.
Councillor Brooks, I think you were first on it.
I did have a question about the procurement. Did you, Chairman, open these with the clerk?
No, I didn't.
So that's one point that we haven't followed correctly with the procurement with our financial regulations. But also, why are we discussing this in public? It's normally, this is considered sensitive information and contracts are normally discussed in exam. The presentation of what I have is very hard to follow. We are also supposed to see the tenders. I asked for them, we haven't got them. You know, just to have a piece of paper like that. And then to finish, what budget is it coming from? We've sat here tonight and approved a budget which clearly shows we've spent this year's budget. And next year's budget, which you've approved, doesn't even cover that. So, sorry, £9,000 is the budget spent this year. £9,000 is what you're asking for next year. But the thing is, we have probably £100,000 because every year we took £10,000 from the residents. But as we budget incorrectly, there is no earmarked reserves, say in trees, which is what the financial regulations say. If you have money you don't spend, you put it in earmarked reserves.
So there is the opportunity to do that at this time, should we go ahead with?
Well, no, where's it going to come from? We're just going to say again, like I get told off for saying, oh, we're just going to pay out the reserves.
Right, I don't have to follow each item as we go along. I've already pointed out this is an exceptionally bad year for trees, and therefore we are in an exceptional situation. I can tell you that every tree contractor I've spoken to, especially we just had a storm too, which didn't help the situation. The amount, Rutland County Council said the amount of planning applications to cut trees down has become exponential over the last month or two because of the storm. So we always have an emergency fund, and we know that's in our earmarked reserve for weather conditions. That was put in by the previous chair, and it is still there. So my view would be this is environmental factors beyond our control. We therefore have to dip into our earmarked reserves for emergency funding, and we will do that. Next year, hopefully, and I'm being hopeful and touching wood here, which won't work probably, hopefully we'll address all the issues, and we should therefore have trees that will be in better shape. And I'm hoping that next year, apart from a few thousand here or there, when we have issues, we'll get through it. That's all I can do, Councillor Brooks. I can't forecast what's going to happen next year. Next summer could be terrible. But we really, really do need to try and make a decision today. If we don't make a decision today, then we will be in a situation where we'll be running short of time.
Councillor Ainsley.
Tom, did you want to continue your point?
I just wanted to reply to that. I accept that it will come from the emergency reserves, but I still don't accept that we haven't seen the tenders and that the correct procedures won't follow. I don't put it down to the weather. I know that this year you started on the work and we lost the contractor because, as you know, I kept raising the issue of cuts close because residents kept complaining and the churchyard. So I don't put it to weather. This goes back to the fact that we haven't done any work for a number of years. You know, this is before Chris's time, we paid out thousands of pounds for the report when Councillor Lucas was here, and it was lost.
Relevance.
Well, the relevance is that it's nothing to do with the weather, it's that we had a poor contract
That's
there.
very much a matter of your opinion.
Well, yeah,
So-
but then Chris said he didn't want to mention, or it's in public records, he was being very careful on what
Not
he was
mentioning
saying.
contractor involved.
Yeah, we're not going to mention them, but to be honest, we need to be saying that this is great that we're going to get on top of it and that, but I'm disappointed that it's not really, to me, that's not clear. And I find it difficult that we should have had the tenders to know exactly what they are proposing, because I couldn't understand these comments, but we have one comment there that just
We
says,
can all read it, Councillor.
very thorough analysis, what does that mean?
Councillor Ainsley.
Thank you very much indeed, Chairman. Yeah, I've just got a couple of questions and then a clarification from the clerk, if I may, so it's 3 bits. Are we absolutely certain that each of these contractors has put in a report that's actually on a level playing field? Because I notice that several are talking about a large willow tree at the tennis club and the oak tree at that's close, Centenary Field. And I don't know whether that's been included in some and excluded in others. Does that explain the disparity? Because it's a huge range, 7,454 to 24,500. That seems to me that, well, yeah, I'd like to know whether we are including the oak tree and even if it's our responsibility, I don't know. The other thing that bothered me was when I was reading this, it simply says priorities 2 and 3. What happened to priority 1? Has that been dealt with separately?
Okay, should have said that, Councillor Ainsley, right, there are no priority ones.
There are no priority 1s, these are all priority 2s and 3s. Okay, thank you. And the last thing was, penultimate, March 21st deadline, what's that referred to? To nesting?
It's the nesting season,
It's nothing to do with finance.
it's nothing to do, no, it's not your financial year that I'm worried about, it's.
Okay, it's the
They,
Tweety bird's nesting. Yeah, okay,
once
thank
the
you.
nesting season starts,
Okay,
you'll find
and
it very
then
good.
I'm afraid I was scribbling and missed your 3 recommendations, not recommendations, but the ones that you felt that were appropriate.
Yeah.
So if you could just read those out to me again,
Yeah,
so that I
sorry.
can give that due consideration, thank you.
It's Simpson,
Arboriculture.
yeah, that was
Simpson,
Simpson, Reynolds Tree Surgery,
Reynolds,
and obviously Brown's Trees.
who's? Brown's?
Brown's Tree, right,
Okay.
Simpson, if you're going for closeness, then obviously Simpson wins because Grantham, as I know, to my cost, is not that far away.
Grantham's not far.
So it's about 30-40.
But we've never used them before?
No.
But we have used Western Trees before?
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead, Councillor Harrison.
I'm just wondering, because we're not comparing like with like or oaks with oaks.
Exactly.
Hence-
Around willows?
Yes. I don't know whether to do this, it's delegate
So,
the job to the clerk to negotiate further on these prices with each of these 3 and go whichever provides the best value for money.
Yes.
You can do that.
I can, or you can.
You can.
We can propose.
well, you
use
can make
that.
that proposal, Councillor Harrison.
Oh, I see, yes.
That's what I meant. No, you
Yes.
can propose that. And you can be, where councillors, usually it's a good idea to have, for obvious reasons, another councillor involved in that negotiation. Whether anybody wants to volunteer that.
So I'll
So,
help you with that.
okay, that's fine. So we go away, we talk to them, make certain it's goes on.
Just don't grow on trees, you know.
We can do whatever you want to do, get references or whatever on the chosen one. And we go from there,
Would you
if that's
care-
okay.
Would you care to make that as a proposal?
Can I just ask, would that be the 3 that the clerk?
Yes.
Okay.
Reynolds, Simpson and Brown.
So,
Sorry.
Councillor Clark, go ahead.
I just think, I just wondered whether you ought to include Western Trees because they have worked for us in the past.
That's entirely your position. Obviously, my only concern is, and I'll make this point out, and I'm sure Councillor Brooks might well agree, that there is a huge, significant disparity between Ruston Trees price and the price that we would consider, for instance, from Simpson.
Well, let's make sure, as we said,
I think they can still be thrown into the ring there, can't they?
value for money, and also to ensure 100% that all of the matters have been considered with equal standing across the companies.
Okay. So is that an amendment?
Yeah.
Sorry, John.
Well proposed, yes.
Is that an amendment
Would you like
say
to?
include Western?
Yes, yes. Never heard of them, but yes.
Can I second it then, please?
Certainly. All those in favour of
It's been classed as emergency work, isn't it, really?
Any against? You have a query?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, I think proximity is quite important here. It's a bit of a shame that some of the more expensive ones are the closest. There is one that is sort of middling, which is the Woodcraft Tree Services in Stamford. They're not the most expensive, but they're not the cheapest. I wondered whether, we seem to have excluded them at this stage, and they were the ones who
Okay.
So we've got a short list of 5, is that what we're proposing?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Is everyone happy just to crack on with that amendment?
Can we just reiterate the chosen?
Yeah, I'll go through them quickly. It's Simpson, Woodcraft, Rushton,
Reynolds.
Reynolds and Brahms.
Has to be done quickly.
Lovely. Okay, so we've got a proposer, a seconder. All those in favour? Unanimous.
Well, those are first.
It's done quickly because it needs to be done.
Councillor Harris is working with the clerk.
Could I just say, obviously, the concerns that Councillor Angley has brought up will have to be addressed, which is, as you'd expect with these guys, when they wander around, they see things that
Yeah.
the Stuart kid
Is
hasn't
it ours?
seen.
There will likely be,
And we'll establish ownership.
okay,
And we make sure we propose that Councillor Harris is working with. the
No,
clerk.
it has been there.
That was included in the minutes, sorry.
That's in the minutes.
Thank you.
Yes.
lovely. On to item 16, Church Wall, another contractor approval here.
Okay, obviously, I'll preempt this, and Councillor Brooks knows what I'm about to preempt. Obviously, we had a church wall repair situation, and you'll see from my text, we were thinking until 3 days ago, maybe 3 days ago, that we were in a position which we were in last year, which we have UKSPL funds, and Councillor Rogers had been there last year, where we were going through panic stages. Of this year, 40,200, 30,000 of which is capital, 10,000 of which, 10,200 of which is revenue, as I call it. We've already assigned the Christmas event as to go under that budget, so we've already made a claim on that one. We received an email very recently saying from Rutland Town Council, the person who's replaced Hayden Material, we now have till the end of September for this funds, which obviously we all in the office breathed a sigh of relief to a certain extent. However, with the church wall, as Melanie knows, we've gone through the same process. It's been through public tender contracts, finder. We've got significant number of quotes, not many of them local as the last one, so you can see it on this sheet here. These ones, I should say, are all net, not gross. With UKSPF, you deal in net, not gross. Yeah, wherever the ones then, I'd agree. So we've got quotes there. We are in a situation, it's up to this council. The wall is unlikely, and I'm not going to go on record as saying this, it's bulging badly in 2 places. It's unlikely, in my experience, that it will fall soon. However, we need, in my opinion, to progress this. It's up to this council whether they decide to delay this or just progress it with the bids we've got here, which you can see before you. And obviously, once again, you'll see, always amazes me, the disparity goes all the way from 8,700 to 30,000.
39, is that 30?
30? No, 30,000.
30.
You need my glasses.
I do.
So, but I would say that the 8,001 is to just deal with the bulges. So I'm not too happy with that. I think that's more like 17,000 because it's a 7 to 10 metre stretch that we've got a problem. There are 2 bulges. We don't know why. Same has happened in the passageway the other side, got them. And we're in a graveyard. So we all get nervous at this stage, including the operators. RNC Building are at the bottom. I think it was Councillor Brooks who asked the question. They're the people who did the passageway work on the opposite side, east side of the church. So that's the one with that passageway. They're the ones who did that and did remedial work, and we pointed out it was an brilliant job. Thank you. So it's up to this council whether they progress it or made.
It was a brilliant job.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
Well, they joined the wall up like this.
That was fixed then.
Sorry,
No, it was fixed.
I was just asking clarification.
No, so it was fixed. You can see that other than the one from the two Clarks in Boston, Lincolnshire, and Uppingham, I would call none of the other ones particularly local, maybe Northampton. So on a basis, but that's been once again for a month on the public tender contract finder. We've got more than we had last time, so it's better. But it's up to the council. I can't tell you what to do to decide whether we go with, my view would be, if you're asking me personal, we go with RC Building. We know what we're getting. They did a goodish job once we kicked them. Sorry, that's on record.
Yes.
Yes. Once we kicked them.
Come on, Clark, let's,
It's up to you.
okay, so, right, we're pressed for time. Just remember everyone was speaking once on this item. So if you have something to say, please make it concise, relevant, because you won't be given another opportunity. I think Councillor Ainsley was first. So let's-
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I think we should come to a similar arrangement as we did last time, which actually allowed the clerk plus responsible councillor to actually make the final decision. But I do have some questions that I would need answering. I don't think there's enough information here to make any decisions. For example, where is the repair? How long is the repair? And do we have explicit permission from the church? Which, yeah, and all of that entails. And so if we're going to shortlist the contractors for can I make a recommendation and then sit down? I would suggest that we look at Semi-Long and RNC, who we've dealt with before, and that we then clarify and give details back to council, please, for a further decision on how long, where, permissions, etc., etc. Thank you.
So I can just say, could I just say they are for, both those two are for about 10 metres, so it's beyond the bulge. The bulge is significant.
That's all right, that can all come back. We're not quite so pressed for time on this one as we are with the trees.
Correct.
Councillor Brooks, go ahead.
Yeah, Councillor Ainsley is singing from the same sheet.
Oh, God, I must withdraw.
I was a bit surprised when the clerk actually just turned around and said that the top one was for just repairing a bulge.
The two
my
guys,
stomach.
not yours.
Yeah. But this is the problem. I don't want to dwell on the things about what I did on the previous one, but this is the problem. We need, I'm entitled to see the tender documents so that we know what we've got to consider. We had an issue with the previous work, as people may know, where the church made a mistake. We didn't get a faculty. So I need to know what we're doing. The church will need to, well, the diocese, sorry, will need to know what we're doing. They will want to see it. So if they need to see it, we need to see it to know what we're going to send to them for approval. So I'm finding it very hard to make a decision because 10 metres was the first I heard of that tonight. And last time the church warden thought we were actually repairing the whole length down Church Passage and also the lady in the office, and I did. So, and I wasn't, so tonight,
Anyway,
I'm trying to put this carefully, that's interesting, being the church warden saw the document.
well, yeah, but we don't have to discuss
sorry,
that.
Councillor Brooks,
but,
are you finished up?
yeah, but I would like to see the tenders before I can make a decision.
As we said, we're not quite so pressed for time on this one, and it will appear to be coming back or have the opportunity to come back. Councillor
I was
Harris.
just going to make a suggestion that Councillor Brooks might like to volunteer to do on this what I volunteered to do with trees and get involved personally to review the situation and be part of the recommendation.
I don't mind that if the clerk wants to work with me and we can make sure we put things,
Okay, so that's the proposal.
Yeah.
but we do need to know more
It'll be just, I
information.
presume it's just on your proposal, was just on those two, wasn't it?
We haven't had it seconded
Well,
yet.
let's
what I
go
was talking
to
about.
Councillor Clark. Yes.
Something appeals to me about a Welsh business. Dylan is the contact.
You are being recorded here.
I know, that's fine. I just wonder whether we ought to include HJH, commercial. And I say that because of the business with RNC Building. I just think maybe having 3 that we look at, or the colleagues look at, might be we might get a better spread. And in terms of the investment, they're 14 acres against 15.2 and 10.7.
They're consultants, they're not actually
Yeah.
workers.
Yeah.
Not work.
I'm happy to accept that.
Can I give a point of information on that?
Very.
Yeah, I did actually look at these companies and most of them, apart from the last one, are part of big companies. And that one, which has just been pointed out, is a consultant, which means that they're going to subcontract, and our financial regulations, and it's a government rule, is that we don't employ anybody who subcontracts.
And that's something to be discovered during the investigation.
Yes,
Yeah.
Right, so let's firm up on the proposal that's being made. Please.
Yeah, so I'd like to firm up on the proposal, and that is simply that we, Councillor Brooks and Clark, investigate 4 contractors, that's three, I'm so sorry, yes, that's me, my wife. RSC Building, Semi Long, and HJH Commercial. They come back to us with necessary details, which includes where, how long, and that we have explicit permission from the church to do that element, and not the whole wall, or no misunderstanding of what will go in the future.
just for clarification, I've already approached the church, they're aware there was a hiccup in their system last time. So revenue this time.
Okay.
Lovely. Would anyone care to second that? Oh, Councillor Clark was very fractionally off. All in favour of support? That's unanimous as well. Oh.
This is getting sickening.
You don't have to stay.
On to item number 17. This may not be a bit more contentious, but
Okay, so once again, this was dictated to, once again, this is eligible for UK SPF funding. This time it's almost like a deja vu, as most councillors will know. We had this last year with Cuts Close, the roundabout. Now this is more substantial. I'm looking at Councillor Wadsworth because I know there is no so much urgency. However, some councillors may consider that being the Singo Gospel report did have urgent items on it for health and safety, that they want to do it. That's because of the timing. I've already made the case in the report here. I could only get Complan and Bay Venture who could sign up for doing it this financial year. That was when I went to other companies, they said, what? You want to do it within the last 2 months? Yeah, so I was very limited. I didn't use it. I couldn't, for obvious use, tender find or anything. I didn't have time to do that. So it's a question this council has put. Sorry, I'm chatting too much. Sorry. Councillor Wadsworth will never get some more than do that. We have to decide whether it's urgent enough that we do it now or we give an extension because we can do that now. And that's for you to decide. You've seen the Rosper reports. You've seen the quotes in entirety for what they'll deliver. It's up to you as council whether we go for one of these contractors or we defer it to get more quotes.
Councillor Wadsworth, I think you had pretty strong thoughts on this.
What do you mean? Right, I did send an email around to everybody. Whether people have had a chance to read it or not, I don't know. But I looked into both quotes that we had been given. One of them looked like it was a bloke who just walked around and just made up his own mind what was what. And then the other quote actually has got all the things that we need doing on his list of jobs. Hers, is it? Sorry. Theirs. So having gone through everything, my opinion would be that we go ahead ASAP because some of these things are quite serious. With Venture Play, who is the more expensive of the two, but in my mind, they are focusing on things that we need to have done rather than what this other person has just wandered around and thought needed being done. The only question with the Venture Play one that I did bring up was the football posts, because nowhere has football posts been mentioned by anybody that they needed to be replaced. I have suggested that a lick of paint and some new nets would be adequate.
Yeah.
It's good enough.
But that basically is what I would like to propose, is that we go with venture play, but take away the goalposts and just put some new nets on them.
That was, I would apologise, that was my fault, because we were going round and I just noticed the state of the full goalposts. And said,
Move
"Well,
the
you could have-
goalposts."
you could have-
The
you could have-
The goalposts that are actually at Princess Avenue were donated to us by, I think it's the Cottesmore Football Club. So they are quite substantial
Yeah, they are.
goals, so I think just targeting them would be best.
Councillor Brooks,
That's
councillor
the decision, then,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I tend to agree with most of what Sally Ann said, Councillor Wadsworth. Obviously, we were appointed part of the working group, which has not met, which was the surprise that we got this appeared. At the beginning of the meeting, there was an allegation, part allegation, that I probably shouldn't have inspected play areas. Well, I wasn't inspecting play areas because individual councillors can't. But as part of a working group, we can go and look. And I looked and I took photos of what is probably the most disgusting sight, which is all our equipment rusting away, filthy dirty in Princess Avenue, total neglect. And that is significantly in the other parts. These quotations are not like for like. And I get the point where it's urgent things on the Rossborough report, and that we perhaps don't need, because it's urgent, although financial regulations will say in that amount of money we should get 3 quotes. But it's urgent work, and I question why whoever produced it all didn't just go to these people and include the red that are in the other areas and say, please quote us for just doing that work. Because we've got red in Pat's Close, but nothing's happening about that.
It's just the skate park.
I know, just the skate park, but you know, we've been so lucky over the years that nobody has been injured.
No, that's,
And it's just luck.
that's incorrect.
Like, I mean, seriously injured, this could affect our insurance if we don't get this right. So what I'm saying is that I'm confused with how we got to this stage where we're even asking just to replace dirty goalposts, when we should be doing, just concentrating on what is the serious issues. And also, I did ask if we could meet as a working group, and the response back was, well, I'm open to a meeting. And that to me is inadequate. You know, we can't tell the club, we want to meet with you now.
Well, you can
You know,
propose a date though, can't you?
No, I was expecting the clerk to come back after asking twice, I'm available then.
He's told you he's available. I mean,
I can only say, I said in the email, if I remember it, you pick a date, I'll make myself available, but was that effect?
I don't think it's about, anyway, we won't argue.
no, anyway,
Right, so
so,
we've got time.
so
I'm just saying that
Does
I'm not happy with this as it stands. I'd like to pick out, but we don't have the time, the important things and just do the important things.
I
And
think
that's for you, that's for Sally Ann and you, well, you can put it to the proposal, but at the moment.
well, as we've heard, there's certainly
One is
reflected in the.
2021,
Sorry.
and the other one's 2024.
Excuse me.
Thank you. They're certainly reflected as high quality items in the venture play quote, aren't they? So they have been considered adequately. Does anyone have any proposal other than the one on the table? Councillor Adams?
Sorry, it's not a proposal, I'd like to make an observation if I may.
Please.
Thank you. I did see a total for venture play, so can anybody agree with my maths that the total is actually £24,797.39?
Correct.
We are in agreement, so it is
Yes.
that much, and secondly,
Plus we have to buy our own skate.
well, yeah, I sat down and I thought I couldn't see a total. Then the second thing I'd like to say is, it's just an observation really, there is no requirement for us to go to the contract to find a website for any contract under £30,000, it's only in excess of £30,000. So the better option, which I think has been raised by Councillor Porter earlier, is in one of his 92 emails this month, 91, I apologise, I must exaggerate, that we actually,
Bring that on.
I'm going to ignore that. So that we actually start putting advertisements in the paper for under 30k. That's, I think we're, so local media, we don't have to use contract fines, that's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that contract fund is free.
Sure, but we don't have to.
Yeah. Well, could I just, one statement, we are actively investigating getting a crew to pressure wash the equipment before April, when obviously it becomes active again, in inverted commas. So
It's horrible.
Right.
yeah, because just needs the pressure washing to actually get them back to what they should be.
Sorry to press everyone, but I'm just concerned about the time. We have a few minutes left and we might just get away without an extension today.
Yeah.
So, does anyone want to make a proposal for?
I've already,
Well, I do apologise, councillor.
that's okay, I'll let you off.
Would you kindly clarify for me? what your
But
proposal is?
we propose to go with Venture Play's quote of 24,797.39p, excluding the goalposts.
Okay, so that's a good figure, that is
22,987.
22,987.
Does that proposal have a seconder?
If we change the figure to 22,987,
Yes.
because it's including the goalpost.
Second.
No, I've got one yet.
Councillor
Paul,
Roberts?
would you?
Have you seconded it, councillor? Yes.
It's probably better that I do it as I'm on the work.
Fair enough,
Right,
councillor
okay.
seconds, all those in favour? Unanimous again.
That's it.
Budget, where's it coming from?
It will come from, we have a budget earmarked for works.
Okay.
We're also setting,
So there's
estimate-
dates and times, so that can,
You need to extend it, and have to go back and find some.
Which one?
Oh,
Yes, the-
for Melanie.
Yes,
Oh,
Melody's
yeah,
contract,
yeah,
sorry.
right then.
So
So,
I can go down and
thank
say,
you. And, is there anything we need to see an exempt there, because now would be an appropriate time, wouldn't it, if there
We
is
could go into exempt at this point in time if you want.
yeah, because it's
We are
starting.
discussing
We have to, we have to
Yes.
discuss the extension first.
Yeah, so I
Yes,
think.
so
exempt.
I-
First of all, go to
Yeah,
the proposal.
I'm going to make a proposal that we extend the meeting
Second.
for a further, maximum further half an hour. Seconded by councillor Ainsley, all those in favour? Another unanimous, although the
Come on, we're
question is on
getting together.
Okay,
Now
and
go to exempt.
also, yes, so
Can I propose that then?
you, of course, councillor Clark.
Councillor
Councillor
Clark,
Clark, there we are, all those in favour?
Go too fast now.
Yeah, okay, that's unanimous also.
It's just, can you
Can I
please
move?
switch, no, can you please switch off the public recording?
Switch it up.
So what motion have we used to consider this new item?
That's exactly.
That's what we're going to
The debate is
discuss.
about, isn't it?
You need to
Okay.
find out.
Without the
Yeah,
public seeing
information
what we
back from us.
discussed.